Hey there, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of our Asking Your Real Estate Questions show here at Donaldson Real Estate School. And what I want to share with you guys is that I'm so happy, number one, that you found the show and that you're looking to answers to the questions that I know are burning on your brain before you go take the real estate exam. Trust me, I know what it's like. I've been there. I had to go take the test, and I know that it can be a nerve-wracking experience. However, with proper preparation and solid advice, you are going to do great. So my role here as the CEO and Director of Instruction at Donaldson Real Estate School is to be a source of solid answers to those burning questions so that you only have to take that test one time. So what we're going to do here is actually pretty unique in that I'm going to get a question right here live as we film the show, and then I'm going to answer it. So what I'm going to show you is our answers are raw. They're exactly as if I was teaching a class to you. I'm not going to come to you with some scripted answer because I want you to understand how it really works. So what's the question of the day?
So, can you explain this whole LTV thing to me?
That's a really good one. And that comes up all the time. The whole loan to value ratio, or LTV, what does that mean? And what are they going to make me do on the test? So let's take it step by step. First and foremost, let's remember the purpose of financing in a real estate transaction, because over 90% on estimate, on average, of residential real estate transactions are financed. So that's why it's a big part of the test, but it's also important if you're going to be working in the real estate business that you understand real estate financing. So when it comes to LTV, or loan to value ratio, essentially what that means, what I like to say is, how much do you need and how much is the lender going to give you? In other words, they're going to give you a majority or a percentage of how much money you need to borrow, but the remainder is going to be up to you, the borrower. And so what LTV essentially is a percentage. So let's start with the easy one. If your LTV was 100, which can sometimes happen, for instance, in a VA loan. If your LTV is 100, that means the lender is giving you 100% of what you need to borrow in order to buy that house. So VA loans are very advantageous in that way because we give you the opportunity with a VA loan, if you qualify, for instance, with a military service member or a retired veteran, to buy a house without having to put anything down. For those that don't qualify, usually your LTV is going to be based on either a loan program, like an FHA loan, or it's going to be based on an individual lender's qualification on you, the borrower, and also how their various loan products work. And we call those conventional loans that don't involve the government FHA or VA programs primarily. So LTV would be how much money the lender is going to lend you. So let's say that your LTV comes out to 90. That means the lender is going to give you 90%. So the other 10% is your down payment. So the lender is going to give me most of what I need, but I'm going to have something to put down in order to be able to purchase the house. Now, one more important point, and that is, what is the actual LTV based on? Well, it's typically going to be what we call what's going to ultimately be the loan amount. But they base the LTV figure on either the sales price, what you're under contract to buy the house for, or the appraised value, what the appraiser believes the property is worth, or its estimated market value. The reason that's important is the lender is always going to pick the lower of those two figures. And the reason is simple, because if you're under contract to buy a house for more than the appraiser thinks it's worth, the lender doesn't feel they're protected from that difference in market value in the case or the unfortunate situation of a foreclosure. So they're only going to lend up to the appraised value in that instance. So something to remember for the test is that LTV is based on the sales price or the appraised value, whichever number is lower. But then the question comes up, can I buy a house for more than it appraises for? Of course you can, because if the difference is not severe, remember, purchase price is always a personal agreement between the seller and the buyer. But what you would need to understand is the lender would not lend you that extra money because you're paying more than it appraised for. So what you would need to know in that case, if I'm the buyer who is borrowing money from a lender, is that my down payment is going to be a little bit higher. So remember, LTV is essentially the ratio of what do I need and what is the lender going to give me, and then it's based on the lower of the sales price or the appraised value. So hopefully that'll help you pass your financing questions on the real estate exam. I really want to thank you for taking a moment and watching the show. If you're not familiar with our school, you can find this and much more helpful information to pass the exam on our website at www.donaldsoneducation.com. And if you have a burning real estate question that you'd like to ask before the next test that you're going to take, well then please send us that question on Twitter. You can find our school at Donaldson School on Twitter, at Donaldson School on Twitter. Tweet us your real estate question and watch me answer it right here for you on the show.